opportunity to tell you more about our Disruptive Innovation Fund work. I'm going to tell you today I'm going to tell you about how we are working on the development on our intelligent microwave ablation system with the collaboration of industry and the University of Galway. So lung cancer is our target since it's the second most common cancer worldwide, but it's actually the first cause of cancer death. That's because, that's because lung cancer is being diagnosed really at a later stage nowadays, and this brings to really low rate of success in treatment, since cancer patients have been detected, the cancer in cancer patients, lung cancer in cancer patients is detected when the cancer is widespread and big tumors are present, so very little chance of success. Luckily, there is a change in the landscape. So both in US and in Europe, screening for lung cancer have been introduced to improve the possibility of early detection of the disease, and thus give the possibility to early access to treatment and better success in the fight against lung cancer. This brings to different elements. This implicates the possibility to get to smaller tumors that can be treated with novel technologies, less invasive. And that's what we are trying to do with our DTIF. We're trying to aim at a point in which you can diagnose, stage, and treat the tumor all in a single session. And that is possible with novel technology, endobronchial technologies, such as microwave ablation. So what happens nowadays with new technologies? So with new screening, we can detect cancer earlier in time. So younger patients as well, also patients with smaller tumors that can be more easily treated in a single session. So what happens is during the diagnosis and stage phase, there are technologies now like beam CT and the bronchial biopsies that can reach the tumor. So you can identify the tumor with the imaging and stage the tumor with the biopsy tools. The added value of microwave ablation is to be able to go into the tumor at the same time in the same session and treat the tumor. So how microwave ablation works is based to the deployment of energy into the tissue, and this energy at microwave frequencies interacts with the tissue and causes the death of the cells by hyperthermic effect. This is to do that, we need to go on address some really big challenges in the development of the antenna of the catheter that goes to the tumor, and that it needs to be really flexible, but also strong enough to pierce the tumor and effective enough to deploy the required energy. But also, we need to be very precise in the deployment of our catheter, and that's because we are going to treat the tumor, to remove it and give also a margin. So to try to remove the tumors in a most effective way, trying to save most of the tissue. And to do so, we are seeking the help of and the collaboration of different partners. Part is from Quadrant Scientific, that is developing like our GPS that will help us to get there in a very precise way, using a a sensor right at the tip of our applicator. And on the other side is the fundamental help of the collaboration with the University of Galway that are developing the tool to actually monitor in real time the ablation growth, and so that to give to the doctors, to the clinician, the capability to confirm the success of their treatment. In particular, the University of Galway is contributing into two aspects: in the real-time analysis of the treatment success, and on the other side, to the better understanding of the lung tumor cells and its electromagnetic nature that is fundamental, and this thermal response that is fundamental to understand how we can improve the success of this treatment. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Aurigen. Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Kevin Donaghy. I'm a principal engineer in Aurigen Medical, and today I'd like to take you through, just at a high level, our clinical needs, and then I will look a little bit at our product portfolio, and then I'd like to give a couple of examples of some of the work that we're doing with different labs in the university. So first, just looking at our clinical needs at a high level, there's three main clinical needs all around AFib that we're addressing. So the first one is the need to prevent blood clots that are formed in the LAA due to AFib from escaping from the LAA and causing a stroke. The next one up is for the treatment of AFib, and studies have shown that there may be benefit to electrically isolate the LAA in conjunction with pulmonary vein isolation to improve freedom from persistent AFib in patients. And then the last one is for people suffering from heart failure and AFib. Monitoring the pressure within the left atrium can be used to diagnose and treat deteriorating heart function before symptoms present, and this can be used then to avoid hospitalization. So we think of those three needs, and then Aurigen has a portfolio of products that we have to address those needs. So first up, we have our base technology, which is our occlusion implant. That's a nitinol braided scaffold with a membrane to filter the blood and promote endothelialization, and that's permanently implanted into the LAA. Then the next device that we have is for our ablation device, which is built on our Zenith platform, but with the addition of the electrodes and the PFA generator, and that's so that in the same procedure we can mechanically occlude the LAA and also electrically isolate the LAA. And that product, we've received a lot of support from Martin O'Halloran and Leo Quinlan, and I'll take you through some of that later on. And then our last device is our heart for patients suffering from heart failure and AFib. So that's to include an integrated implantable pressure sensor with our implant so that we can monitor the pressure within the heart. And this is achieved through a batteryless implant that is powered wirelessly by an external reader, and it reads the pressures within the left atrium. So now I'd like to take you through some of the examples of work that we've been doing with the different labs. So first up here, when we think of our device, there's a couple of elements that we need to figure out. So, we have our scaffold and our electrodes. We need to understand the electrode geometry, the size, the spacing between them. And then for the pulse field ablation, we also need to understand the pulse parameters that we're going to use. And then finally, we have, they both feed into our PFA generator, and that makes up our device. So to do that, we've got a lot of input from both Leo and Martin's team. So in the TMD lab, what they were involved in was numerical modelling of our device. and the in vitro test setup, and this will give us information like the electric field strength, the current densities, temperature profile across the electrodes. Also did a lot of work around measuring the bioelectrical impedance and understanding the conductivity of tissue before, during and after ablation. And also worked quite a bit with us in terms of developing test methods to help us understand how we can optimize the parameters to minimize effects like arcing and bubbles, which we want to reduce. So then and that team would have worked very closely with Leo Quinlan's team. And what they helped us do is give us the capability to allow us to be able to ablate living cells. So that was great in terms of being able to help us optimize our parameters to achieve the ablation that we were looking for. So there's an example here on the right-hand side where we can show the different ablation zones that we would get for different levels of voltage. Other things that Leo then was helping with was we take that information, compare it to what we were doing with what we would numerically model, and then use that to feed into what we do in our animal trials. We also would have got a lot of input from Leo in terms of planning those animal trials, analysing the results, and then talking kind of with our cardiologists and external KOLs. And then finally our pressure monitoring device. So we would have worked with Dr. Atish Assad in the Smart Sensor Lab. So initially we were looking at a number of different options or technology to be able to achieve a pressure sensor within the heart. We ultimately selected to use a surface acoustic wave sensor that's coupled with an RF antenna. And what the team in the Smart Sensor Lab was doing is helping us optimize that antenna design, understanding the biology so that we can build a representative biophantom so that we can test that sensor at an implant depth of maybe between 10 and 15 centimeters. So finally, I suppose, from our perspective, it was great to get a lot of that input. I'd like to thank the different labs we've been working with. It's been invaluable to Aurigen in terms of our device development. And thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Kevin Donaghy from Aurigen. I think we're going to try take two now with Aaron Hannon. Aaron, I think we have your slides, ready now. You're very welcome.
Great, thank you.
One second, yeah.
Man, you guys are reading all of these slides.
We can't wait to see them. Tell us about Luminate.
Might as well get started, I guess.
Let's get the ball rolling.
So at Luminate Medical, we make medical devices which prevent the side effects of cancer treatment. So our first product is Lily, which is a wearable device that helps cancer patients to prevent the hair loss caused by chemotherapy. And then we're developing follow-on products as part of our disruptive technology collaboration with the University of Galway to prevent common side effects like chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy and infertility caused by cancer treatment as well. So one of the key points we'd like to make today is how we can use collaborations with the university to both do deep technical work that has great disease-destroying capability, but can also make a real impact to the patient as well. And we've been able to do that across that preclinical all the way up to patient bedside continuum. Do we have slides, or are we just going to go for it?
Yeah, we have them, I think. Yeah, try them again till you see Aaron.
Here we go.
Oh, great.
I told you they were really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so at Luminate, what we're trying to do is we try to shape the face of cancer treatment and totally change the way that patients interact with chemotherapy treatment to provide a much better quality of life for the patient. So everybody knows that sudden hair loss means cancer, and millions of cancer patients wish that that wasn't the case. One of the things I thought was really interesting actually last year when the Irish Cancer Society was doing their fundraising drive and their promotional video, they featured a conversation between two women about having breast cancer. And the point of the ad was that you didn't know actually which one of them had breast cancer, and at the end you realized that it wasn't the one you'd kind of been led to believe it was. And the device that they used kind of cinematically to communicate that somebody had cancer was hair loss. And I think that's kind of bizarre when you think about it on a bit of a deeper level, right? We're using a side effect of treatment to indicate that somebody has a disease. I think that's kind of somewhat emblematic of how we approach medical devices in general, kind of as industry, right? We focus on disease-destroying capability when we don't really consider the fact that that disease is attached to a person, and we've got to build technology for the person as a whole. And this has been a big shift in medicine, I suppose, over the past number of years. So at Luminate, our goal when we're interacting with the university is to build the technology that will enable patients to have even better quality of life outcomes through their treatment. So, like I said, we focus on a number of core different therapeutic areas. Our first product is a device to prevent hair loss caused by chemotherapy treatment, experienced by over 3 million people in the US and Europe every single year. But we're also looking at targeting future applications involving peripheral nerve damage and infertility, which can cause massive long-term quality of life impacts for the patient. So how do we do this in terms of hair loss? Well, I'd like to introduce the Lily device, which we've been developing here with the University of Galway. So the Lily device is a portable, wearable unit which applies compression therapy across the entire surface of the scalp. And what that compression therapy is doing is it's applying just enough pressure to overcome the internal fluid pressure inside those tiny capillaries that feed the hair follicle. So we're significantly reducing blood flow to the hair follicle while chemotherapy is active in the bloodstream, allowing the patient to retain their hair. Once the body continues to process that chemotherapy and the activity level goes down, we then allow the blood flow to safely restore in a way that maintains the health of the patient's tissue and their hair follicle and allows it to continue to grow normally. The key thing about the Lily device is that it's a patient-controlled, wearable, portable device that integrates seamlessly with the way that a clinic operates normally, meaning that for no additional effort for the clinic, almost like a substitute for wigs, patients can get a much better quality of life experience. So I suppose disruptive technology that we're developing here with the university is this seemingly delightfully simple clinical mechanism of applying compression therapy across the surface of target tissues when it comes to hair loss or when it comes to neuropathy or infertility. But really the devil is in the detail and understanding how to do this really accurately. So we want to be able to apply compression therapy with no discontinuities around the scalp, so no bald patches. We want to be able to do it in a way that's comfortable for the patient, that can accurately cause those reductions in perfusion around the hair follicle. And then we also want to be able to restore that blood flow in a really accurate way as well, to make sure the patient doesn't feel the discomfort of having blood rushing back to their scalp, but also so that we protect their tissue from issues like reperfusion injury. And what's really nice about our collaboration with the University of Galway here is that, like I said, we're doing this right from the preclinical all the way to the patient bedside, across that entire continuum. So working with colleagues like Prof. Gary Duffy and Dr. Lana Stanley on the preclinical side, developing that early stage research, which is helping us to get our clinical mechanism to be even more accurate. So what Gary and the team are developing are preclinical models of compression therapy to understand how we can make it even more safe for patients to experience this treatment, and also how we can be even more accurate about preventing their hair loss. Moving on then, when we take those preclinical inputs into our product development at Luminate, we work with the Translational Medical Device Lab and Professor Martin O'Halloran to iterate on those products and to make them even more comfortable for patients and even more useful in the clinical environment. So almost every day we're working in the Lamb Institute with researchers from the TMD lab, iterating in healthy volunteer studies where we're testing the product for comfort, or we're testing the clinical mechanism for effectiveness in reducing blood flow, which gives us a really fast iteration loop, meaning that we can create that patient impact even sooner. And then I think what's really, really exciting about this collaboration is that we get to do it with patients and provide that impact for the first time in the world here in Galway. So we get to take a device made and researched in Galway and deliver the patient impact for the first time here in Galway. So next year with the Lowry Lab in NUIG, or in University of Galway, oh my God, I said it. So Next year, with the Lowry Lab, we're going to be running a first inpatient clinical study in the University Hospital Galway, where for the first time chemotherapy patients will retain their hair in a comfortable, portable and patient-controlled way. And then that clinical data will be used to launch this product in the EU and in the US to treat patients around the world. So truly a device made and researched in Galway to the world. And then I'd just like to finish up, I suppose, kind of where I started, and the reason why these industry and academic collaborations can work really well is that we can achieve something, I guess, which has a massive patient impact at the end of the day. We often talk about cancer survivorship or people being survivors of going through chemotherapy treatment, but when you talk to patients, nobody wants to survive. Nobody wants to spend the rest of their life surviving. They want to live and they want to thrive. So life is about more than just surviving. Life is for living, and that's what our collaboration with the University of Galway has allowed us to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aaron Hannon. And any questions now from the floor for any of our panelists here today at the moment? No? Well, you all speak glowingly about the collaboration between your companies and the university here. Kevin, what's the benefit of, having a DTIF fund with, behind you when you're meeting investors? Oh, you can pull that out, yeah.
So I suppose from our perspective, it does a couple of things. It gives a great validation of the product and the work that you're doing, because the fact that you've got approved to the DTIF, it's like an element of due diligence that's been completed already. So when investors come to look at this, they're like, well, there's a separate panel of experts have already reviewed this and approved, the funding to go into that. So, that alone is of huge benefit, when we're going out to, look for additional investment coming in, regardless of all the expertise we get from being involved in the DTIF, So.
And I suppose also even having the University of Galway backing, it looks good, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely,
on an application.
and we're also able to present loads of results that we've got, through the work we've done with Leo Quinlan, for example, in terms of here's some of our early studies, and here's the results that we've got, and here's what we propose to do next. So having that level of expertise is great. We've also done got a number of papers published, and again, it just adds a bit more credibility, to what we're doing.
And Laura, would you agree with that yourself, or what's it like from the Endowave perspective?
Yeah, I totally agree. And the collaboration with the University of Galway gives us not only the opportunity to have more expertise and to investigate and research things that within a company are not always possible, but the university has a different contribution, a different opportunity. And as Aaron was saying, the contribution of the university is also, and most importantly, the possibility to have access to the clinicians and to the patients, and through the collaboration get feedback and get to understand what is really needed.
Aaron, it must be absolutely brilliant to be able to do clinical trials here locally, without having to travel anywhere. That Lily device, it just sounds amazing. Do people have to wear it for long?
So people wear the device during and for about 90 minutes after every treatment, but totally echo the comments that being able to work here on site in the University of Galway with the hospital next door, it allows us as a medical device company to walk down the corridor and then, put our device into action and actually see how it works. Most medical device companies work on much longer feedback loops, and the reality is it gives us a massive competitive advantage to be able to have this fund and have this university to collaborate with. And probably the other key point, I guess, is access to great people. So, we get excellent up-and-coming researchers who join contracts with us, to work on DTIF projects, and maybe they'll come and work for Luminate in the future. We're hiring now, by the way. There's definitely a massive opportunity for companies to take advantage of all of the talent that exists there, and to have that really work towards creating patient impact.
Yeah, Galway seems to be a real hub, Aaron, doesn't it? I mean, there's so many industries here.
Yeah, no, there's loads of medical device companies here, but like I said, we're hiring, we're the best one.
You mentioned that.
But no, there's a massive talent pool here, and we go and raise funds, as I'm sure the guys have as well, internationally, and people kind of say, well, why Galway, why a small town in the west of Ireland compared to San Francisco or London or New York? And we say, well, you've got the best talent here. This is where the heart of the global medical device industry is. This is where, we have incredible engineers, we have incredible scientists, and we have incredible research, but we also have, I think, people who just have a real willingness to get things done. And I think that's what the collaboration with the university allows us to do as well. It allows us to work practically and kind of seamlessly fit between wearing multiple hats of being researcher, entrepreneur, engineer, and that allows us to get stuff done and bring stuff to market and make a big impact for patients.
And that's an extremely positive note to end this discussion on. Aaron Hannon, Kevin Donaghy and Dr. Laura Fernier, thank you very, very much.